October is the month where the ghosts come out of their gravestones to scare the mortals. The storyteller also come out to tell horror histories. Are you ready?
He did the monster mash from my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast.
It was Halloween night, and the small town of Ridgewood was filled with children's laughter, colorful costumes, and carved pumpkins lighting up porches. Julia, a 17-year-old teenager, was tired of the usual celebrations. The costumes, the parties, and the trick-or-treat felt like kids' games to her. She wanted something more thrilling, something that would test her courage. That night, as she was getting ready to go out with her friends, her younger brother, Lucas, approached her with a pumpkin in his hands. "Will you help me carve it?" he asked with an innocent smile. "Sorry, Lucas. I'm not a kid anymore. You should do it yourself," she replied dismissively, checking her phone. Lucas's face darkened, but he didn't insist. As the night progressed, Julia met up with her group of friends. They had planned something special, visiting the old Stevenson house, a place few dared to approach. The Stevenson house had a dark history. More than 50 years ago, an entire family disappeared there on Halloween night. No trace of them was ever found, and the theories about their fate ranged from cults to vengeful spirits. Since then, the house had been abandoned, and many claimed to hear strange noises coming from inside on Halloween night. "It can't be that scary," Julia said with a defiant smile as the group headed up the hill where the house stood. When they arrived, the place was in ruins. The windows were shattered, and the door hung from a rusty hinge. The cold wind whistled through the bare trees, and the glow from the pumpkins in the neighboring houses barely reached the hill, leaving the house in almost complete darkness. "Let's go inside," one of her friends said, pushing the door, which creaked ominously. The inside of the house smelled of dust and decay. The walls were covered in mold, and the wooden floors creaked under their feet. As they moved through the main room, they found a staircase leading to the basement. "They say the Stevensons were last seen going down to the basement," one of the guys commented, trying to scare the group. Julia, with her heart racing, felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. A feeling of being watched crept over her, but she said nothing. She didn't want to seem weak in front of her friends. "Let's just go down quickly, take a picture, and get out of here," she suggested, turning on the flashlight on her phone. The group descended one by one down the stairs, which seemed ready to collapse. When they reached the bottom, the basement was darker than they expected. The stone walls were damp, and the air was suffocating. Suddenly, Julia's flashlight began to flicker. Something in the back of the room caught her attention. A tall, thin silhouette stood still. She couldn't tell if it was a human figure or just shadows playing tricks on her mind. "Did you guys see that?" she whispered, but her friends didn't respond. She looked around and realized she was alone. Panic overtook her. "Guys," she yelled, but there was no reply. The silhouette in the darkness began to move toward her, slowly but surely. Julia backed away, stumbling over something on the floor. It was a perfectly carved pumpkin. On its surface, her brother Lucas's face was etched in a sinister grin. A chill ran down her spine as a voice whispered behind her, "Aren't you too old for this?" She spun around, but no one was there. The silhouette drew closer, and in its hand, something gleamed in the dim light of the flashlight, a knife. Julia screamed, running toward the stairs, but the steps had vanished. The floor crumbled beneath her feet, trapping her in the darkness. The last thing she saw before everything went black was her brother's face smiling at her from the pumpkin. The next day, the police found the house empty. There was no sign of Julia or her friends. They only found a pumpkin on the doorstep, with a sinister grin carved into its surface.